Welcome to the Inspiring Heights podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Kaiser, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Inspiring Heights exists to walk alongside you as we learn to create healthy rhythms, flourish in our faith, and be inspired where our feet are. We're honored that you're with us today. We can't wait. Let's get started. We have spent enough time together by now for you to know that I love to talk about seasons and I love to talk about rhythms. So naturally, I think now is as good a time as any to talk about our rhythms in this new summer season that has graced us with its presence. I wonder how you all feel about summertime. For me, I love this part of summer, the very, very beginning. See, I am a fair to cold weather gal through and through. About 25 to 60 degrees is absolutely bliss for me. So this whole summer in South Dakota thing, it cramps my style a bit. But I think there is something so deeply beautiful about the transition of seasons. So the start to summer, the beautiful fall colors, the first snow of winter, and the smell of rain in the spring makes my heart sing. With a change of this season, and really all 4 seasons, comes a very natural opportunity for a change in our rhythms. In fact, I would contend that for most of us, whether we choose to embrace the changes or not, our life rhythms do in fact change. And this is true whether you're single or married or have children or don't, and really regardless of what profession that you're in. Shorter and longer days, changes in the weather, and who we spend our time with, like family vacations in the summer, our kids' teachers and their friends as parents in the school year, and a lot of ourselves and our nuclear families in the cold winter months. I truly believe that God designed life and earth with such intentionality that the changing of the seasons, and by extension our rhythms, is really something to be embraced. God obviously knew what he was doing when he created summer, fall, winter, and spring. All right, so you're with me so far, right? We've established and agreed that our life rhythms do at least in some part change with the natural changes of the season. So the question really at hand is, what does it look like to practically lean into this summer season? We're going to talk about 3 things. Step 1, determine the most important aspect of this season for you and your people. You have heard me talk about this before, and you will hear me talk about it again. But truly, I believe this is the very best place to start. Each season has different priorities. And if we don't take the time to wrestle with what those should be, and then name them, and then keep the thing, the hard reality is it won't be our priority. There is simply too much coming at us to stay focused if we haven't actually decided what matters most of all. This aspect of the summer season change has been the hardest for me this year. I've wrestled with my own expectations that summer is for road trips and time away from home, which is kind of funny because both my husband and I are homebodies, but summer is when we go. So I've posted this question to Ben, literally probably no less than 4 times. What do we want to do this summer? What should we get on the calendar? And each time the response is something about yeah, we should go camping. And then oh yeah, remember we have that one trip planned. And then the conversation is over and we go on about our day. I think the reason I keep bringing it up, though, is because our summer calendar seems light. Like last year, I honestly think, if my memory serves me correctly, that between June and August, nearly every single weekend, we were either gone or we had people in town. And this year, it is 100% different. But as I've worked through this, I've come to realize that our summer season is going to be different than it was last year. And actually, Ben and I already knew this. This spring, we made some commitments, and we said when we made those commitments that if we were going to step into them, it was going to require a different pace for us this summer. Here's the thing, though. There's a difference between knowing and embracing. I knew our summer season rhythms needed to be different than they had been in the past. But in order to start embracing, and I really emphasize the word start here because I'm not 100% there yet, I really have had to go back and ask, what is the most important thing this summer? Saying it again, and then redirecting my attention to the commitments that we've already named has helped me to start to lean in to what our new and different summer rhythms will be this year. So what is it for you? What is most important this summer? Maybe it's a project or family time or specific vacations, a summer bucket list, reading through a certain book, whatever it is. Say it, name it, and embrace it. Step 2, make a plan. Now that you know what matters to you and your people during this summer season, you actually get to look at how to make that happen. Cue the highlighters and the fun sticky notes and the colorful pen, sister, because we are about to make a plan. Perhaps for those incredibly flexible people out there, and maybe some of you are this way, the changing of rhythms in the summertime is not difficult, and it comes very, very naturally to you. You don't need to make a plan because you roll with the punches of long summer days and ice cream for supper very, very well. If that is you, please call me. We probably have a lot to learn from you. But for so many of us, when we find routines that work well, we don't want them to change. Not even if the season is really inviting or encouraging us to do so. So here are some questions that you can ask yourself regarding your current rhythms and routines to lay the foundation for building your summer plan. First, what are my current morning and evening routines? Second, what are the 3 things I really don't want to miss out on this summer? Third, what's on the calendar? Okay, let's dive in. Morning and evening routines bookend our days. Sometimes these routines for sure need to stay the same, but we have the opportunity to change them up in order to get us closer to the things that we really want to accomplish this summer. I'll give you an example from my life. Normally, I am an early to riser and an early to bed kind of person. Like, get up at 5, go to bed at 9. But there's been some shifting in our summer season schedule this year. As I am continuing to get my feet underneath me in my new position at work, I find that I am rarely home before 5:45 at night. This has meant later suppers and by extension, later nights if we plan to get anything accomplished after supper before bedtime. But because the days are longer and the sun is shining till like 9 o'clock, it doesn't really feel as hard to push bedtime back to 10 o'clock a couple of nights a week. With that being said, your girl needs her sleep. I cannot function on less than 8 hours of sleep. So that has meant that later bedtimes equals getting up later in the morning. So we have shifted even our Bible study routine to be something a little less intense over the summer to match the rhythms that we're in currently. This routine is working right now. It is not going to work long term. It's not, but it works right now, and that's what matters. And this is what I'm talking about when we're considering how we bookend our days. There are so many possibilities that are so minor. It's pivoting 5 degrees one way or another, right? It can be as simple as moving your morning cup of coffee from one room of the house to the other so that you can watch the sunrise, or so that you can have a conversation with your husband without waking up the kids. The possibilities here are absolutely endless. So lean into the freedom that you have to explore and see if there's anything that needs to change for you during the summer season. All right, naming 3 things you don't want to miss out on this summer. Here's the thing about summer. Because of the nature of the season and the weather, there is so much opportunity for fun. And you're really better able to make a plan for how to embrace the components of the summer season that you don't want to miss out on if you say them out loud. And if you aren't sure what they are, perhaps you can think back to some of your most favorite summer memories over the years. So often the moments we love the most have common threads for us to notice. I'll tell you mine. When I think about summer, I always think about my aunt and uncle who would come up to the ranch in the summertime in their motorhome with my 2 cousins. And I remember that the summer nights, were often spent either in the living room around the piano, snipe hunting with my cousins and my sisters, or sitting outside my grandma's house on a golf cart just visiting. I can smell the rain. I can hear the crickets, and it's beautiful. I love those memories. And as I gather those all up, the 3 things I pull from them is I loved being outside, I loved being with my people, and I loved the spontaneity of the schedule. We didn't plan snipe hunting at 8 p.m. each night, right? But snipe hunting occasionally happened at 8 p.m. each night. It just depended on how things went. So as I thought about those 3 things that matter to me this summer, that's what they are. It's figuring out how to be outside when it's not 115 degrees, because your girl can't do that. Can't do that. It's figuring out how to spend time with our people, our friends. Because people come out of their homes in the summertime here in South Dakota, and I am here for it. I want to be with our people. And that 3rd thing, that flexibility, that spontaneous thing, I really want to make sure that we have space and time and margin in our life to say yes to spontaneous invitations. Campfire nights? Yes. Ice cream date at 8 p.m. on a Saturday? For sure. A movie at my house in 30 minutes? I am there. This is what's so funny about me. I think my people would tell you that I am not spontaneous. That is not an adjective that most people who know me well would use to describe me. But it's something that feels really, really important in this season. Our life is pretty structured, which is fantastic, and I love. I love a good color-coded plan. But I have found that spontaneity is where relationships have the opportunity to bloom. And I want that. So once you've named a few things that are important to you, you can then work on how to make them happen. Shifting a few things around, like where you do quiet time or where you'll meet your friends, is super, super simple. Other things will require more diligent planning, like being able to have the space and time to say yes to spontaneous invitation means that we have to let go of some things that are less important in this season, or we have to do them at a different time. But I'm more apt to say yes to spontaneity if I've pre-thought about those things, if I've made a new space, if I've let them go for this season. It's all 100% possible with some planning and follow through. And then checking the calendar. In the past month or so, I have added a new rhythm that I heard about from Jess Conley as I was walking through the Go and Tell Gals coaching. She was talking about how she sends her husband an email at the start of every week, which outlines different things that they have going on in their life. They have shared calendars and whatnot, but this email gives a more detailed description and helps to provide an on and off ramp for their days based upon their schedule as a family. And I thought this was absolutely brilliant. So I adapted it. And here's what my email to Ben contains. I talk about our prayer requests, the things that we're praying over during the week, anything that both Ben and I are doing that week, like we have friends coming over, we have a small group, or traveling, or going out of town, whatever that it is, it goes in the email. I list any nights that I know for sure I have things scheduled. I'm going to be home late from work. I list out our to-do list for the week, things that we have to make sure we get done. And then I include our monthly chore list of things that has not yet been completed so that if we have a spare minute, we have that in front of us and we can try to check those off the list. I will tell you that this email serves me just as well as it does Ben. Getting all of this down in that format is so helpful. Maybe for you, it isn't about an email, but some kind of weekly overview at the start of the week can really help you to figure out how to build in time for those summer things that you don't want to miss out on. Aside from the week, I would also say that looking at summer as a whole can be very, very enlightening. Knowing your schedule is really the only way that you can figure out where you can plug in those activities with the kids or the getaways with your spouse or the quiet weekends camping. Step 3, be flexible. Do any of you ever feel like summer is like one giant pool party? It's so flexible, it basically has no form at all. I would suppose that is truer for some people than for others. And for the people that it's true, you're the same people who don't really have to make a summer plan because ice cream for dinner suits you well. So if that's you, you keep doing you. You're awesome. For those whose summer requires a bit more structure and routine to keep your sanity, I am with you. I am with you. While I desire for summer to be much looser and laid back, there is really a limit to how far I can push that and still get done what I need to get done. But here's the real deal on what I found about human nature. We can be very inflexible when it comes to our daily rhythms and routines. Brush teeth at 5:37 a.m. Do quiet time from 5:45 to 7:01 a.m. Eat supper at 5:48 p.m. every single day. And this is where my gentle nudging towards flexibility comes into play. Rhythms? Good. But taking out the blinders to see that the sun doesn't actually set until 9 p.m. these days, and we will survive if we ate supper outside at 6:42, also good. Oftentimes when we name some of those mid-tier important things that we talked about, those 3 things that matter, but they don't matter the most, the like camping and vacationing and participating in vacation Bible school and sand volleyball type things, we have to change something in order for them to work and fit into our lives. Because you see, in January, we aren't playing sand volleyball and going to vacation Bible school. So our life is structured and built in a way that doesn't involve those things. So we have to make room for those things to fit in. So if you're wondering how to do that, here are 3 filters you can run over your daily routines and rhythms to spot places that you can be more flexible and therefore be able to put some more of those things into your life. First, what are the unspoken routines you practice? These are the things you do on a really rhythmic basis, but maybe they don't show up in your calendar, like doing the dishes after supper or taking a shower every night before bed, or going to get groceries at 3 p.m. on Saturday. Sometimes those unnamed routines are the ones we are much less likely to budge on because it's hard for us to figure out how to change them if we aren't actually naming them. Second, are there routines in place that are imperative for your well-being? These would be the things that would affect you or your family's physical or mental health and well-being if they were changed. Maybe you eat breakfast each day at a specific time because you have medication to take and it has to be taken at a certain time. Maybe you have trouble sleeping at night, so waking up earlier means that you would get less sleep than what you actually need. It's good to call out these routines and put some construction cones around them to indicate that you cannot drive through here with your forklift. These routines are here to stay. And then third, if I change routine X, how would I need to compensate? It's hard to change a routine if you don't have a plan for how to compensate for the change. If you get more flexible with your dinner time, you might need to give the kids a snack a little later in the afternoon so that everyone is not miserable until dinner time. If you're going to move quiet time to the porch, you may want to set up a camping chair on the deck so that you can consistently have a place to sit instead of having to do a setup at 5:30 each morning. If we put on our planning hats and make the necessary changes, it allows for us to be more flexible in our summertime days. My encouragement to you as you look over these 3 things, determining what matters the most for you in this season, for you and your people, making a plan, and being flexible, is that you are patient with yourself. we are humans and we are stuck in our ways. And it's easy to stay there, but it's also really, really rewarding to lean into the season that God has given us and to take a good look at what we want summer to be like. Friends, I hope this was encouraging for you today and got you thinking about what you want your 2022 summer season to be like. All right, I want to take a second to tell you what's been inspiring me this week. I purchased a workbook from Go and Tell Gals this week, and one of the things that was included in the purchase were these locked screen images for your phone. And typically, my niece and nephews are on my lock screen, so I don't spend a lot of time looking at other options. But I happened to be browsing through them, and I found this one that said, "Placed on purpose for the good of others and the glory of God." And that statement, while so simple, is also so profound and such a great reminder of our actual purpose on this earth. And so I decided it was worth taking my nieces and nephews off my lock screen for the summer to put this up to serve as a daily reminder for myself that in this season, right here, right now, in summer 2022, I am placed where I am on purpose by God to serve others and to bring Him glory. And I want to do that. I want that to be my prayer. I want that to be the posture of my heart. And I want to be really consistently reminded that that is my purpose. And it is important and it is profound. Friends, thank you so much for being here today. It means the world to us. Hey, you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram at Inspiring Heights. If you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast so that you never miss an episode. And if you're so inclined, go ahead and leave us a review. This helps for new listeners who haven't heard the podcast to kind of get a feel for what the show is like before they even hit play. If you have friends who aren't yet subscribers, share this with them if this is something you think that would be helpful and encouraging to them. Okay, friends, until next time, take a deep breath and be inspired where your feet are. Bye for now.